Alright, so I'm going to give you my review of the book, The Go-Giver. I was recommended this by a friend that I met at Alex Hormozi's scaling workshop, who prints merchandise, and he was one of the most lovely human beings I've ever met in my life, and he said this book will change my life, and so now I'm going to share it with you, because I've just reread it, because I want to share it with a friend of mine. So the basic, I've got some notes here that will help me through this, but the basic gist of this book is it's a story of a philosophy behind reaching great success in business and or life generally. So the main character in the book, Joe, he's a go-getter, someone who just gets stuff done, working at the grindstone, and he's trying to chase after this big dream. He's got a big account he wants to land on a time schedule, right? That's the premise of the book, and how he meets someone who is really successful, and he is sharing with him his secrets, his trade secret to success, which end up being the 5 laws for stratospheric success. So in its own right, this book I found really enjoyable. It's an engaging story in its own right, let alone as a self-help book, essentially. But it has, if you're ever thinking of writing a book, or you are someone who reads literature, it's got suspense, shock, disbelief, it's relatable, it's humorous, there is sections where you feel hopeful, where you're learning, where there's a love, a bit of romance, there's community, and character depth and development. Like, as a book alone, it's an engaging read, but what you take away from it is even more important. And I think the fact that it's packaged up as such, being such a great read, really helps you learn the messages behind the book as well, because the story sticks with you. So there are some key ideas throughout the book that I've taken away, which are, the biggest and most important one is this book's about giving. Go-giving, right? The Go-Giver. And it's done, most people when they think of giving, they think of charity and they think of money. And that's not the point. To be a go-giver is to have genuine interest in other people. And so you do that by giving your time, your attention, your care, acknowledgement and interest. That's what being a go-giver actually is. It's genuine buy-in to other people's success. That's the single biggest key idea in the whole book. There's a few, actually there's another big key idea as well, which is that manifestation, prayer, dreaming, whatever you want to call it, is useless without action. And right at the end of the book, there's a Q&A section, and there's a fantastic quote from the Quakers, and they have a saying, when you pray, move your feet, which I think is poetic. And so many people do just dream without taking action, and we've all heard that a goal without a plan is just a dream, essentially, right? And along with that, if you get kind of what you expect. So if you expect a dog-eat-dog world, that's what you'll find. And I have found through my own existence that the people I have met in my life who are victims, bad things happen to them. And also the people who are lovely, who are giving, who take time, the great things happen to them. And so that's where I think the power of this entire book comes from. There's a few smaller ideas that I want to share with you before getting through the 5 laws of stratospheric success. So the smaller ideas that we came across as well is that essentially to take advice from only the people you respect at the skill that they have that you don't. Essentially, like, would you take money advice from a poor person? No, right? And so many people take this go-getting advice from the people in the grind but haven't actually made it yet, whereas the whole point of this book is from the people on the other side saying that's not how it works. The next part being that value begins with respect of a thing, and it's not just the price tag. So it's the name, it's the packaging of whatever it is that you're doing that you talked about. It's the care and attention and the effort in the detail. It's not just the information itself. Everything eventually comes down to information, but if I just wrote something on the back of a napkin and gave it to someone, it's probably not going to change their life, because they don't take it as seriously as something that they have paid for, that is put up on a billboard, that is advertised, that is put into a beautifully made book. And that theme happens in this book, where he's talking about his secret to success, and he's like, I'll tell you about it as long as you do, you know, the one condition, or like he's calling it my trade secret. Before it's like, it's got this mystery around it, because he wants people to be bought in around the idea before finding it out, because then they'll actually learn. And that leads into the next bit, which I have a company teaching students how to learn maths. Like, learning stuff is so pivotal to my existence. And one of the things they say in this is that to truly learn, you have to discover it and live it for yourself. And so throughout the parable, and I think if you're going to read this book and take it away, I would read it across 5 days and do each action each day, so that you can actually truly learn it yourself. You can gain understanding through teaching, through reading, but you won't truly master it or remember it until you have learned it yourself. Only 2 other smaller ideas. So, being open to breaking limiting beliefs. If you're not there yet, this isn't going to help, period. Right, and then last one, when you start anything, expect embarrassment. Like, you're going to feel awkward, because you will suck, and that's okay. Alright, so those are the key ideas. You now know what the book's about, and the smaller ideas that I have found throughout the book that really resonated with me. So I'm going to go through the key takeaways, the 5 laws for stratospheric success that they lay out in this book, and kind of my takes of them and how you could apply them in the real world. So the first one is the law of value, and it says that your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. This is so true, and it's not related to the price that you charge. It's just saying give in excess. And when you look at companies like Facebook as an example, that was built by someone whose sole focus was the customer and their experience, and that's what makes a great product. P.S. It does also make money. But that's not the goal of value. Value is determined after putting that person's, your ideal avatar, putting their needs first, and that's where the value is then made. And this is, and actually this whole book is a real insight into the secret of sales, is having the other person's self-interest first. That's what makes a good salesperson, not can you talk the talk. So the law of value, basically give more than you charge, that's it. Number 2, the law of compensation. So your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. This is really blindingly obvious. You can care for one person, you can be a primary carer, but still be poor because you're not able to impact enough people. Your personal compensation, your money that you earn, is going to be proportional to the lives that you touch and the impact that you have on the globe. And so obviously if you help more people, you're more likely to be more successful. Like, business has to scale at the end of the day. That's probably the single biggest business piece from this whole book, is that if you don't get to a certain size, you cannot save your way to becoming wealthy if you earn minimum wage. There's no way you can physically do it. Okay, number 3, the law of influence. These next 2, 3 and 4 actually are really quite linked. But anyway, 3, the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. So this is one of the key ideas I was talking about again, and it's also a secret to sales. Start by helping them. like genuinely caring about other people's success in anything, that's how you win at sales, and that's how you influence people's decisions. This also then walks straight into the fourth law, because of my belief of how you inspire people. So the fourth law is the law of authenticity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. This one's a bit wish-washy. I struggle to connect with this, but the story gives a lovely explanation or case study of how this works. And I think it comes down to, my takeaway is that your conviction is what inspires people. So the biggest thing that separates salespeople and their ability to do what they do is their conviction on how much they believe the product is going to do what this other person needs, after you put their interests first. And then through my own experiences in my life of becoming an Ironman, starting my own businesses, traveling the world, it's the actions of you going after what you want that give people permission to try, to do things that they wanted to do but were nervous or unwilling to for whatever reason. So it's not just the words alone which influence people's decisions, it's your words about the actions that you have taken, and it's those actions which will inspire others, influence them through your authenticity, because you're doing it yourself. You're the living proof. So that's where I think 3 and 4 work really synergistically. And then the last one, the law of reciprocity. The law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. So I've struggled with this my entire life. Until I was 20-ish, I felt physically sick spending money and was really anxious whenever anyone gave me anything. And this book changed that behavior to be humble and gracious in accepting rather than being defensive. And being gracious is enough in itself, because it's natural that it comes back around. This is why I got it confused with reciprocity, because although you shouldn't give in order to receive, by naturally giving to the world, you will be given to. I love this example. If you're ever looking for a job, right, the job market's so hard, all this sort of stuff. I think the reason that process is so difficult is because people go into a job role saying, I want you to give me. And that's the start of the conversation, is I want this job, I want you to pay me. Whereas if you went into that experience, that situation with, hey, I love this business, I love what you're doing, this is the skill I have, here it is to you, I've made you a thing, I really hope this helps. If you're good and they love it, of course they're going to pick you over anyone else that hasn't done anything, because you've just demonstrated it and you've gone out of your way to help them. And so then when they turn around and offer you the job, you can now say yes and not feel guilty about it and not feel like an imposter, because you have earned it. So if you're ever looking for a job, that's my key idea as a way to get around doing it. Like, if you want to be a sales guy, go and sell something for a company. Say, hey, I've got a client for you, would you like them? Or I've sent you this client, or I've done this. You know, if you're a website designer, be like, hey, I've designed you this website, I think it would be really useful under this context, or whatever. And just give it with no expectation of return. But when the return comes, even if it's not directly from that person, be open to saying thank you, and that's it. Graciously accept it. That's been my single biggest key takeaway from The Go-Giver, is so much of my being is about learning and helping other people, and I have struggled so much to accept help. Like, my dad runs businesses, he's an entrepreneur, and my best friend actually assumed that my first business was because of my dad, that he helped me, he gave me some money or something. I've never accepted anything from my dad in that sense. Until only a few years ago, I was uncomfortable in taking me out for dinner or buying me a haircut, let alone giving me money to start a company. And I can share with you a story of, I've been traveling for a week around the States with this pilot, really awesome guy, and one day I'd run out of cash and he offered to buy me ice cream, and I literally had a panic attack about it, and I ended up offending him, and I was so awkward, and that was the moment I needed to change. And this book slapped me around the face of how to change that, and I'm grateful for the way that it has affected my life, and I think it will drastically affect yours too for the better. So if you haven't read this book, if you just want to be a better person, and or you want to succeed in business, or bloody hell, any reason, I think this book is great. I think you'll love it. Would 100% recommend. It's in my top 5, 4, 3, 2 books of all time. Would 100% recommend The Go-Giver. And that's my review. Have a lovely afternoon, guys. It is sunny and beautiful here on my first day in Dubai. And with that, I'm now going to go give this as a gift. Alright guys, have a lovely evening. Peace.